Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Rob here at Smirking Gun Reviews. And so we're back talking more Doom Patrol, Season 1, Episode 6. It is called Patrol Patrol. Full spoilers if you haven't seen this episode. I've enjoyed it so far. I've said that it's got problems and stuff, but this one's really good. I really dig this one a lot. It especially comes together in the end. And while I kind of knew everything that was going to happen, it's how it happened that I really liked. And going forward, I really have only one note, and we'll get to that. And well, most of this episode, while we cover a little bit of everybody's problems for the most part. This one, Larry gets a little backseat. Jane is kind of there for exposition and cool powers, but we get more of Cliff, we get a lot more of Rita, and we get some more for Victor, and a lot of more subtext for Niles and Mr. Nobody. So Patrol. Well, we start in 1956 LA, and we're getting around town. You know, she's at this studio producer guy's place. I mean, look, it's not an unexpected topic because of the Me Too movement and Harvey Weinstein and stuff. So I'm not gonna diss this because this happens. This is awful. This kind of stuff that happens. I'm positive that this still happens despite what's going on. Maybe not in the big Hollywood studios, maybe they're all terrified, but I'm sure that this still happens at a lower level. So she goes to the producer's office, and I love the secretary's look on her face, like she's looking down at Rita, knowing, kind of judging Rita for going in there. And how this scene kind of ends is actually kind of smart. She thinks she knows what kind of person Rita is, and she's not really wrong. Because she goes in there kind of begging for a job. She hasn't had work since the accident, probably. It sounds like she needs a win. She knows this guy needs a win. You know, but her reputation of being abusive and, putting people down, not being nice to the help, has preceded her. And he's using that to his advantage. He puts his hand hey, why don't you sit here? And she has that moment where she can choose to do what he wants, and be a part of the... This guy's taking advantage. Clearly. These old white guys have been doing this forever, and the producers in Hollywood, whatever. And all over the world. It doesn't have to just be Hollywood producers. This happens everywhere. And I don't want to get too deep into this kind of crap. Because then you never get out, and then we won't be talking about the episode. So, she has a moment, though, where she played, will she go down this road? Will her desire to stay famous, allow her to make the choice of sleeping with this guy? But she does. She stays. She doesn't walk out the door. She stays and she sits on his lap, and she loses control of her powers. And this was the unexpected part, is she blobs out. And I thought she was intentionally doing this because she kind of has this look on her face of kind of disgusted, she's disgusted. Maybe she is, and maybe that's why she lost control. So she blobs out and suffocates him in her huge amorphous blob self. And when she comes back together after the fact, she realizes that he's dead. Now, the secretary's reaction to this, though, I thought was the best, because she realizes that her boss is like this, and that she thinks he had a heart attack, and she knows what kind of man he is, and so she covers for Rita and says, "You were never here." So I guess she was thinking that this is just another one of those actresses who goes in there and sleeps with the guy for a part, but then he died. And so she kind of goes back on that. But it's really wrong. The secretary wasn't wrong. Rita is that kind of person. You know, she allows the problem to continue. That'll probably give me some hate just for saying that, but and we jump forward to, you know, present time where Larry's talking to her just for a second, like thinking, you know, Niles isn't coming back. Meanwhile, Cliff is trying to navigate the internet with his robot hands to find his daughter on like a Facebook-esque, you know, social network. But he can't get in there without her being, you know, being her friend. And, you know, he goes to Jane with sandwiches for Baby Doll, one of the personalities. She slams the door in his face because he just needs somebody who can help him with the internet. What are you going to do when you got a great big robot hands? And you haven't been around social media. You know, all these other people can navigate it. And Jane's, you know, that age. And heck, when he goes to Victor, he's basically a walking computer, right? So, well, Jane's too Jane and watches one of her old videos about where her Baby Doll persona, where Niles mentions that he has to leave to go see this group called the Doom Patrol. So we know that this is, you know, what Mr. Nobody was leading to. She still doesn't understand what the name means. They live in Doom Manor, but they've never heard of Doom Patrol. So she goes to Victor, but pre this, Cliff tries to get Victor to help him, you know, get on social media to help find his daughter, but he can't because he's in safe mode. When Cliff hit his, you know, little thing to send his message to his dad, it made him locked out of his own brain. And so he can't help. But Jane shows up and asks about Doom Patrol. What does he know about it? So they go to like a microfiche, like they go to a website, but it's like old microfiche looking stuff for this superhero team from the 50s that nobody's ever heard of, which I find hard to believe. That nobody remembers a superhero team from the 50s. Like they lasted almost a decade, and everybody's like, huh? I mean, come on. Unless they reveal later on somehow, because it's never in this episode that like somebody did a cover up or a mind wipe of the world, that nobody's ever heard of these people. I mean, we're reading comic books that started in the 30s, and we still remember them, right? So it's just, I don't know. It's one of those turn my brain off moments. Well, Rita and Larry come in. Rita explains that she used to date one of the original OG DPs, and they don't want to look into it any further. Using one of her personalities named Flit, teleports Larry and Rita with her to this school, where it appears that it's kind of like an X-Men Academy, even with a bald guy running it. We've got a lady named Rhea and Arani. Arani's got cool powers. She's like fire and ice, so she's like Iceman and the Human Torch at the same time, except maybe it's just, I don't know if she can become fire herself or all ice herself. We never see all that. And then Rhea is kind of like I think she's more like a telekinetic. And, you know, we get to see, like, the fire personality come out of Jane, which is cool for a second. And then we see Joshua, who is, like, Professor X, but an African-American, where he's the head of this school to teach metahumans. I gotta make sure I keep my notes here straight. Then Silas arrives, and he claims that the JLA, the Justice League of America, doesn't consider Mr. Nobody a somebody, which again I find hard to believe. They don't even act like they know who he is, and they call it the Justice League of America. This is in the timeline of, I want to say, I don't know if this is in the DC extended universe or if it's even a part of the DC cinematic universe. I don't know if that's been clear. I'm sure that there are people out there that know this for sure. If this is connected to the movies or the CW shows or what. If this is only connected to like the Titans universe and the Doom Patrol universe or one, I would really like an explanation of all that. I'm sure there's somebody out there who will tell me. So please put it in the comment section. Because I find it hard to believe that the JLA doesn't know about Mr. Nobody, and I find it also hard to believe that they think he's a nobody. Which is funny, but... also, another really hilarious moment in this is Animal, Vegetable, Mineral Man. The videotape, the surveillance video of him trying to rob a convenience store and his velociraptor head attacking him is hilarious. I mean, you know it's what's coming a mile away, but it doesn't stop it being funny that the dinosaur head bites the other guy's head. And I think that's the guy from... he was definitely in the episode with the Nazis where the guy was giving out powers. But I think isn't he the guy that was Ari's assistant on Entourage? I don't know why I remember that. I hated that show. So there's that. So we get the School of Metas. I go, so why aren't they there? Yeah, so like I was thinking to myself, well, if there's a school for meta-humans, why is the Doom Patrol, or why are our recent cast of characters not there? Now, Rita said that she used to know Mento, but I'm still thinking, well, why isn't she a part of the school? If this is supposed to be training people to use their abilities and kind of control them, wouldn't Larry and Rita want to be a part of it, or Jane? There's a mystery here that just things don't add up, and I started to think maybe it's just bad writing or some like weird plot device that we haven't heard about. And instead of that, it's actually when we get through the whole story, it all makes sense. Except Jane, they say, was there. She has a room there. But Larry, this is like the first time this. He's known, Niles for, he says, like 6 decades. And I guess Rita maybe wouldn't have been there because of her past and her shame. But we then flash back to Doom Manor in 1958, where we see Mento, Steve Dayton. He's brought in by Niles to help Rita psychologically and psychically try to get over her not being able to control her abilities. Her affliction, almost, I guess you would kind of call it. And I just immediately, when he shows up, I'm like, why is everybody still young? If they started in the 50s, again, like, I get why Larry, is Larry. He's under bandages. He's all burned up. He's past being human. And Rita can always look young because of her makeup. She's probably past things about age anyway. She's just kind of an amorphous blob person. It kind of makes sense that she would be able to just stay kind of almost like immortal. And Jane, see, that's the other one. It's like Jane's been around since the 70s. Okay, I don't get an explanation of her. And Cliff, he's a robot. And Victor, he's a newcomer. So there has to be an explanation for all of this, because these people from the 50s are still young. They all are. But then we see the glitch. I thought, okay, so are we in like a Matrix situation, or... Because it looked electronic, the glitch. But I was thinking, okay, this school, we're just not seeing what the school actually is. I figured this out pretty quickly, that it's not really a Matrix situation. It's that something is keeping us from seeing what it actually is. We also find out there's a missing brain of a supervillain, so that might be foreshadowing this Ultramex. I thought that was going to be the key to it, because apparently this is like some sort of super brain. He's like, he can't get far without his helmet or his like device he's in, but that doesn't play any part of it. So we see that Mento helps Rita keep control. She goes to that under the skin looking place psychically where she's in her head, and he helps her. It immediately works. He immediately, is able to make some progress. So obviously they start boning. because that's healthy and normal. Oh, I have, like, you helped me get my legs fixed. Let's do it. And then, so I don't understand that. And then, the show, they allow them to say fuck like a billion times, but no sexy time? Because I was just like, oh, so 14-year-olds, because, come on, let's face it, this isn't just directed at people my age, even though a lot of the people my age are the ones that are watching this stuff. We're allowed to hear all the cursing we want, but I know it makes me a little pervy, okay? Because it's like, yeah, cursing's okay, but no boobs. All right, fine. It's like, again, the marketing of this is just kind of strange. So, I know, okay. So, Cliff and Silas, they start comparing father notes. Neither of them really have room to talk about being great dads, but Cliff tries to tell Silas, like, your son's a hero, all right? You need to give him a little more credit because he saved all of our lives. I mean, he does it in kind of the worst possible way by scaring the crap out of him, by describing his arm as like Bugs Bunny sticking his arm into Elmer Fudd's gun and it exploding, but that would never happen. Bugs Bunny would never put his hand in Elmer Fudd's gun and let it explode. That's more of a Daffy Duck situation. Come on, Warner Brothers. Bugs doesn't stick his hand in guns and let it blow him up. That's like Elmer Fudd wish fulfillment. So, Arani, though, says that her and Niles are married. And while I didn't dismiss that idea because Niles is so full of secrets, but there's also a daughter. And again, I was like, well, okay. Because again, Niles is just so many secrets and lies to protect people, that all this seems believable, but it doesn't explain this glitch. And Joshua explains that there's this last fight, this Mr. Nobody fight that the DPOG had, and everybody's kind of got their own different point of view take on this, which leads to this is definitely like somebody or everybody's lying here. But I did think it was really creative. The butt balloon jukebox that's equipped with turning a machine that's able to turn policemen into piñatas, and the music that drives everybody crazy within its radius. And them beating the piñatas to death, but instead of candy, it's brains and guts. That's really clever in a very twisted, genius, madness kind of way. I dug that a lot. Like more of that kind of cool, twisty, just exploring what you can do with a TV MA rating rather than just F that and you know what I mean? Just creative ways to say fuck. But it's pretty freaking awesome. But when you start hearing the different events, Arani says, oh, this person was great, and then this person says that Mento was great, or Mento crapped his pants, all these things happen that lead you to believe that none of these things are pretty much true. And so I was like, well, okay, then this is all just a psychic lie. This is all an illusion. And literally right after that, it's like, yep. Mento's really an old man who, once Rita got there, had his helmet on and decided to destroy, mess with everybody. Because he's old and, he's gone kind of cuckoo. He starts making everybody see all this crazy stuff. And including this girl named Mary Beth that terrifies Rita, who kills herself with slicing her arm with a razor blade or straight razor up her arms. It started making me go, well then who's Joshua? Because he's the only one that's not affected in all this, and he doesn't seem freaked out. He's more like, okay, let's take care of this. The puzzle pieces starting to come out of the cabinet and then all flooding down the hallway, that was real cool. And I hate that my screen's starting to get all funky on me here, as usual. Welcome to the channel, home of the glitch. My own glitch. But it was a really cool special effect. I thought it was really effective. Everybody's kind of going crazy. I like Larry saying that, comparing it to The Shining. Well, it's like, okay, well, Shelley Duvall and the kid got out of that, so we can get out of this too. And then we kind of get a rather easy fix to the dire situation. It's just Larry's other coming out of his chest, and taking the helmet off of Mento and everything going back to normal, and then we just have to wrap up the episode and explain everything that had been going on. I do have another mention about this, is that these episodes are like real long. These are like hour-long episodes. I feel like there's a lot of fat that can get trimmed down in these. I was enjoying the episode a lot, but it felt like forever. It took them a really long time to tell this story. And I feel like maybe they need to do a little bit of work on trimming the fat. I mean, I know that they're probably excited that they get to work on a streaming service, so there's less limitations. But I think what DC Universe can learn is try to streamline it as the shows go on. I haven't watched Titans, don't plan on it, but I imagine it probably suffers from some of the same stuff here. Because even when I'm watching Flash and Arrow or DC's Legends of Tomorrow, I feel like sometimes those episodes go on a little too long, and they're pretty much the perfect length considering how long these are. If you guys think the length is great, fine. And maybe it's because I got a lot going on in my life and I try to get to as many things as possible in a day that I'm like, all right, let's go. We find out that Joshua takes care of these people. He's got his own abilities that we don't really know. If he exposed them, I don't know what they are. Unless he's got a calming effect on people, I don't know. But like I was thinking earlier about this whole thing of why Mr. Nobody sent them here. I didn't say it earlier, but I'm saying it now. It's Mr. Nobody trying to scare them. It's trying to get them to mistrust Niles. It's trying to, maybe even kill him. Like that, maybe all three. A little bit of anything. Like, maybe they'll just die. Or, maybe they'll lose trust in Niles. Or maybe they'll be so afraid of me that they'll back off. They'll stop looking. And if the whole thing about stop looking is part of it, maybe I'm not going to say he's not a bad guy. He's pretty terrible. And then eventually, when we get back, Silas gives Victor his thumb drive so that he doesn't feel like he's, under his father's thumb. That what Cliff said helped. He's giving his son the space that he needs. He's realizing that his son needs to find his own way and not, pressure him anymore into doing what his dad just wants him to do, which is great. I like that part. But Mento, we see the reason why Mento left Rita, and that's he looked when he wasn't supposed to into her brain and found out what she did to Mary Beth. And that's why he leaves and he calls her, you're a terrible person. So, long story short, I feel like it's pretty obvious that Mary Beth was somebody in the industry, got in a bit of trouble, sounds like maybe with a pregnancy or something like that, and Rita drove her to some sort of suicide. That she made her feel like bad about herself, something along those lines that haunts Rita that made Mary Beth die. Probably some petty jealousy thing where she thought she was getting more work than her or something like that. But Rita's becoming a better person. She's facing her fears. Cliff is slowly, getting somewhere to figuring out, seeing what his life is, trying to reach out to his daughter. Victor's getting places with his dad. Larry has got a lot of work to do still. And Cliff does too, because when he sees that her mother must have married one of his crew members or whatever, he smashes his computer, kind of like, well, what did he expect? She moved on and he's got another dad, and so he's pissed. I get it, he's pissed. I just wish that some of these characters didn't just always, just have these reactions that are just so, I don't know, like blunt instruments. There's no thought into it. It's all reaction, no thought. But not to take away, because this is my favorite episode so far. And we've got I forgot how many episodes are in this season. I saw that there are at least 13. So I still got a lot of Doom Patrol to go. So if this is my favorite, I'm sure that there's going to be more good stuff to come. And all I can say, like I said, that I was going to have a note on this. And from a guy who swears a lot, I try not to swear that much on my videos anymore. I mean, it's not really me. I try not to censor myself. If you don't like it, tough. But I do feel like if it just comes out, it comes out. But I try to curb myself as much as I can because I know I can reach a large audience. You're putting it out there for the whole world. And so my biggest note for Doom Patrol is still, stop swearing so much for the sake of swearing and focus on the writing. Tell a good story. Don't worry about the 14-year-olds watching this so that they get, ooh, I'm watching an edgy show. We got all the freedom. We can say fucking shit and all that stuff. Focus on a good story and swear when it's needed, if you feel like it's needed. And you'll get a wider audience, and people will have better things to say. I'm not saying people don't have positive things to say about this. In fact, I don't really watch anybody else's reviews for this. In fact, I haven't looked them up, to be honest with you. You know, I just kind of got asked to check this show out, and I did, and here we are. So that's my major note. Is just because you're TVMA doesn't mean you have to always be TVMA. Tell a good story. Worry about the cussing and everything else later. So, anyway, great episode, though. Great episode. Really imaginative, as usual. That's one thing that this show does not have a problem with, is imagination. They go to some really bizarre places, and that's why I think it's one of the most unique shows right now on television or streaming or however you want to digest your entertainment. So, if you liked this little review and you feel like hitting the like button, go ahead and hit the like button. We're under 40 subscribers to 1,000, so anybody who likes this stuff and you're not a subscriber and you're enjoying the content, please subscribe. You don't ever have to come back again. But I'd like you to. So, and then hit the bell for all notifications, share the video, all that crap. Otherwise, this is Rob at Smirking Gun Review saying we'll be back next week with episode 7. And so have a great day, and we'll see you on the next Doom Patrol. Have a great day, everybody. Bye.